Hey everyone, today I'll be teaching you how to make this delicious steak and shrimp surf and turf. This came out beautifully and I can't wait to show you guys, so let's get started with the video. Begin by peeling 4 russet potatoes. Then cut your potatoes into pieces. When you finish cutting up your potatoes, place them in a large pot. Then add water and 1 teaspoon of salt into your pot and bring it to a boil. Boil your potatoes for 10 minutes and then check to see if they're done by piercing one of the potatoes with a fork. When your potatoes have finished cooking, drain the water from the pot. Then mash your potatoes. Once you finish mashing your potatoes, add 4 tablespoons of butter. Stir your butter into your potatoes until it is fully incorporated. While I was mixing the butter into my potatoes, I noticed that my potatoes had a few lumps, so I decided to cream them through a fine mesh strainer. I don't have a potato ricer, so using a strainer was my next best option, and it worked out perfectly. See? That is way fluffier than before. Okay, so after that I placed my potatoes back into the pot. Then, in a small saucepan, I added 1 cup of cream, 2 crushed garlic cloves, and 2 sprigs of rosemary. I mixed all my ingredients together and let it simmer over low heat for about 5 minutes, or until your cream mixture is fragrant. I got the idea to do this from a tasty video I watched, so I wanted to give it a try. I'll have the link to the video down in the description. Then, gradually add your cream through a fine mesh strainer. Make sure to fold the cream into your potatoes until smooth. Once you've added your cream, fold in 1/4 cup of sour cream, 2 ounces of cream cheese, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. Once your mashed potatoes are nice and creamy, you can go ahead and set them to the side. Next, we're going to make our steak, and we're going to begin by making a steak rub. In a small bowl, add a half a tablespoon of seasoned salt, or regular salt, a half a tablespoon of smoked paprika, 1 teaspoon of pepper, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of oregano, 1/8 teaspoon of white pepper, 1/8 teaspoon of cumin, and a half a teaspoon of brown sugar. Mix everything together until well combined. When you're finished, set your steak rub to the side. Next, take out your steak. Make sure to take out your steak 30 minutes before you begin cooking it. That way your steak will be at room temperature and it will cook more evenly. Now, rub some olive oil all over your steak. Oh, by the way, the steak I'm using is a ribeye steak. When you're finished, add a generous amount of your steak rub onto your steak. Make sure to coat the entire steak in your steak rub. When you're finished, set your steak to the side. In an iron skillet over medium to medium-high heat, add oil. When your pan is almost smoking, add your steak. When you're placing your steak in the pan, place it away from you so you have more control and you prevent splashing any oil onto your arms. This is optional, but you can also add a bit more steak rub onto your steak. Cook your steak for 2 minutes on each side. By the way, if you're not a huge fan of the fat on a steak, you can trim it beforehand and you can sear the fatty side so you can render it. When you flip your steak, add 2 to 3 tablespoons of butter, 2 sprigs of rosemary, 2 sprigs of thyme, and 2 cloves of garlic. Then, once your butter has melted, baste your steak in the butter. When you finish cooking your steak, place it inside the oven at 375 degrees for 6 to 12 minutes. How long you cook your steak in the oven depends on how cooked you want your steak. It'll also depend on how thick your steak is. My steak was pretty thick, so it took about 10 to 12 minutes for it to be medium well. However, if it's a bit thinner, it might take 6 to 7 minutes. Once your steak has finished cooking, take it out of the oven and let it rest for about 8 to 10 minutes. That way it'll become juicier. Next, we're going to prepare our shrimp. Peel and devein 7 large shrimp. Then, in a pan over medium heat, add some butter. Once the butter has melted, add your shrimp. Then season your shrimp. I seasoned my shrimp with Old Bay, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, and paprika. Then saute your shrimp for about 4 to 5 minutes. When you finish cooking your shrimp, set them to the side. After you finish cooking your shrimp, we're going to prepare our asparagus. In a large pan over medium heat, add butter. Once the butter is melted, add your asparagus. Season your asparagus with a bit of salt and pepper, and then add a bit of lemon juice. Lemon juice is optional. Cook your asparagus until they are tender and a bit flimsy. After you finish cooking your asparagus, you can plate everything together. And this is the finished result. This came out great, it looks so beautiful! The steak was well seasoned and gorgeous. The mashed potatoes were amazing, they were just packed full of flavor and it was just so creamy and delicious. Those mashed potatoes might be the best mashed potatoes I have ever made because they were so good. I added some garlic butter on top of the shrimp and steak, which just made it 10 times better. The whole thing together was just delicious. Alright, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. Everything I used in this video will be down in the description below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye! Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how to make this delicious, creamy spinach stuffed salmon. So let's get started with the video. First, we're going to make some mashed potatoes to go with our salmon. Begin by peeling and chopping 4 to 5 russet potatoes. When you're finished, place them in a pot and then add water. Add 1 teaspoon of salt, and then bring the water to a boil. Boil your potatoes for 10 minutes, and then when they have finished cooking, drain the water from the pot. Once you drain the water from the pot, mash your potatoes. Also, make sure to reduce your heat to low or turn off the heat if it's too high. Next, add 4 tablespoons of Next, gradually add 1 cup of heavy cream. This is optional, but I usually like to add crushed garlic and rosemary to my heavy cream and then let it simmer for about 5 minutes. It adds a bit more flavor to the cream and to the mashed potatoes. Once you've added all of your cream, mix in 2 ounces of cream cheese, 1/4 cup of sour cream, a half a teaspoon of salt, and 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. Now that the mashed potatoes are done, we can move on and make our stuffed salmon. In a pan over medium heat, cook 4 slices of bacon. Once the bacon has finished cooking, remove it from the pan and then add a half a cup of diced onions. Proceed to cook the onions for about 5 minutes. After cooking the onions, add about 2 teaspoons of minced garlic and then cook everything together for about 1 to 2 minutes. After cooking your onions and garlic, add 4 ounces of spinach. Cook the spinach for about 3 to 5 minutes or until it has completely wilted. Once you finish cooking your spinach, remove it from the pan and set it to the side. Next, chop up the bacon you cooked before. When you're finished, set it to the side. Next, in a bowl, add the spinach you cooked before, 4 ounces of cream cheese, your chopped bacon, a 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese, a 1/4 cup of mozzarella cheese, 1/4 teaspoon salt, 1/4 teaspoon pepper, 1/8 teaspoon garlic powder, 1/8 teaspoon onion powder, and a 1/2 teaspoon of red pepper flakes. Once you've added all of your ingredients, mix everything together until well combined. When you're finished making your filling, set it to the side. Next, take 2 pieces of salmon and cut a pocket on the side of the salmon. Make sure not to cut too deep or too far, or your salmon might come apart when you're stuffing it or when you're cooking it. You just need to cut the pocket big enough to add a good amount of your filling. When you finish cutting your salmon, season it. I season my salmon with pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, Old Bay, and paprika. When you have finished seasoning your salmon, stuff a good amount of your filling into the salmon. Make sure not to add too much filling or you might overstuff the salmon. When you finish preparing your salmon, you can go ahead and cook them. In a large pan over medium heat, add your salmon. I still had a bit of bacon grease left over from when I cooked the bacon, so I just used that to grease the pan. So you can do what I did, or you can use butter or olive oil. Once you add your salmon to the pan, cook each side for 5 to 6 minutes. Once your salmon is finished cooking, flip it over again and then add about 2 to 3 tablespoons of butter and a sprig of rosemary and a sprig of thyme. Then baste your salmon in the butter. If your salmon isn't completely cooked yet, cover the pan with a lid and continue to cook it for 2 to 3 more minutes until completely cooked through. Once you finish basting your salmon and your salmon is completely cooked, take it out of the pan. Now that everything is finished cooking, all you have to do is plate it up and enjoy. And this is the finished result. This was absolutely delicious. It was very flavorful. Everything went together really well. The salmon was absolutely delicious. I loved the filling and the salmon was well seasoned. It was especially good when you squeeze some lemon juice on top. Oh, and I ended up cooking some asparagus to go with the whole meal. It paired really well with the mashed potatoes and the salmon, and the mashed potatoes were so good. Alright, that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Everything I used in this video will be down in the description below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye! Hey everyone, today I'll be teaching you how to make stuffed shells with ricotta cheese. So let's get started with the video. Begin by dicing one onion. When you're finished, set your diced onions to the side. Now clean 1 cup of baby spinach. Then, in a large pan over medium heat, add 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Then add a half a cup of your diced onions and saute your onions for about 3 to 4 minutes. Lightly season your onions with salt and pepper. After you've sauteed your onions, add 1 teaspoon of garlic and then saute the garlic with the onions for about 2 more minutes. After that, add your spinach and then saute your spinach for about 5 minutes. Once your spinach has finished cooking, take it off the heat. Now, place your spinach, onions, and garlic on a cutting board and finely chop them up. Now add your spinach mixture into a large bowl. Then add 2 cups of ricotta cheese, 1/4 cup of grated Parmesan cheese, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1 egg, 1/4 cup of mozzarella cheese, 1/8 teaspoon of nutmeg, and 1 teaspoon of oregano. Mix everything together until well combined. Next, add your mixture into a Ziploc bag. It's easier to do this if you place the Ziploc bag in a cup first. Then set it to the side. In a large pot of water, add salt. Then bring the water to a boil. Then Add your jumbo pasta shells. Cook your pasta shells for however long it says to on the box. Once your pasta is finished cooking, drain them and set them to the side. In a large baking dish, add half a jar of tomato sauce. Next, take the Ziploc bag filled with your ricotta mixture and cut the corner off. The part we cut off will be the tip. What we made was a makeshift piping bag, which will make it easier to stuff our shells. Now, stuff your pasta shells with your ricotta mixture. Then place it inside the pan. Repeat this process until you run out of room in the pan. After you finish with that, add your remaining sauce on top of your pasta. Then add some Parmesan cheese on top. Next, cover your pan with tin foil and then place inside the oven at 360 degrees for 10 to 15 minutes. Once your pasta has finished cooking, it should look like this. Now that your pasta is finished cooking, you can go ahead and plate it up. And this is the finished product. I'm really happy with how this came out. It looks absolutely amazing and tastes delicious. The recipe is easy and pretty quick to make. Also, if you're someone who really likes ricotta cheese like I do, this recipe is perfect for you. Alright, that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Everything I used in this video will be down in the description below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye! Hey everyone, today I'll be teaching you how to make this herb crusted rack of lamb. This came out great and I can't wait to show you guys how to make it, so let's get started with the video. Begin by preparing your lamb. This was my first time cooking lamb, so I had no idea that you could just ask the butcher to trim the lamb for you. So I just ordered a whole rack of lamb and this is me trying to trim it. For this recipe, you're going to want a French trim rack of lamb. Basically, to French trim a rack of lamb, you're going to want to remove the fat off of the lamb and then remove the meat and fat between the bones. However, the way I trimmed my lamb was kind of all over the place since I was following like 3 different videos, so I will have some resources in the description below so you can have a better idea on how to French trim a lamb. However, I strongly suggest to just have a butcher French trim your lamb because this was very time consuming. Right now, I'm removing the large amount of fat that was on the lamb and removing the rest of the meat and fat from in between the bones. After removing everything that was in between the bones, I thoroughly went to clean the bones. Next, place your lamb in a baking dish and then cover it with milk. Soaking your lamb in milk draws out some of the blood and cuts down on the gamey taste and smell that lamb usually has. Soaking your lamb in milk is totally optional. However, if you don't like the gamey taste and smell of lamb, then I totally recommend using this trick. Once your lamb is completely submerged in milk, cover your baking dish with tinfoil and then place it in the fridge for about 8 hours or overnight. While our rack of lamb is soaking in the fridge, we are going to make our mashed potatoes and Brussels sprouts. Begin by peeling and cutting up 4 russet potatoes. Then place your cut up potatoes in a large pot. Add water to the pot and then add 1 teaspoon of salt and bring it to a boil. Boil your potatoes for 10 minutes. You'll know they're finished cooking when you can pierce them with a fork. Drain the water from the pot and then mash your potatoes. Cream them through a strainer to get rid of any lumps. Then add 4 tablespoons of butter. Once you've mixed in a butter, in a separate saucepan add 1 cup of heavy cream, 2 sprigs of rosemary, and 2 cloves of crushed garlic. Mix everything together and then let it simmer over low heat for about 5 minutes or until fragrant. Then gradually add your cream into the pot through a fine mesh strainer. Once you've added all of your cream, add 2 ounces of cream cheese, 1/4 cup of sour cream, a half a teaspoon of salt, and 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. Fold in all your ingredients until well combined. When you finish making your mashed potatoes, set them to the side. Now that we've finished making our mashed potatoes, we are going to make our Brussels sprouts. First, after thoroughly cleaning your Brussels sprouts, cut off the stem. Then, take off any loose or damaged leaves. After that, cut your Brussels sprout in half. Repeat this process with the rest of your Brussels sprouts. When you're finished, set your Brussels sprouts to the side. In a bowl, mix together 1 tablespoon of melted butter and 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Next, place your Brussels sprouts in a bowl and then add your butter and olive oil mixture. Mix everything together until your Brussels sprouts are completely coated. Then add a half a teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, and 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. After you've mixed the seasonings in, add 1/3 cup of breadcrumbs and 1/3 cup of grated Parmesan cheese. Mix everything together until your Brussels sprouts are completely coated. Then place your Brussels sprouts on a wire rack, face side up. Cook your Brussels sprouts in the oven at 425 degrees for 25 minutes. When you finish cooking your Brussels sprouts, set them to the side. Next, we're going to make the breadcrumb mixture that will be on our lamb. I'm using fresh breadcrumbs, but you can use store-bought. All I did to make it was process some pieces of brioche bread in a food processor. Now, in a bowl, add a half a cup of breadcrumbs, 1/4 cup of grated Parmesan cheese, 1 tablespoon of minced garlic, 1 tablespoon of parsley, 1 tablespoon of rosemary, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, and 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Then mix everything together until well combined. When you're finished, set your breadcrumb mixture to the side. Next, we're going to make a seasoning mixture for our lamb. In a small bowl, add half a tablespoon of seasoned salt, half a tablespoon of paprika, 1 teaspoon of pepper, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of oregano, and a half a teaspoon of cumin. Mix everything together until well combined and then set it to the side. Next, take your rack of lamb out of the fridge and pour the milk out of the pan. Then, rinse the lamb to remove the milk. When you finish rinsing off your lamb, dry it off. Next, season your lamb with the seasoning mixture you made before. Make sure to season each side of your lamb. This part's optional, but you can cut your rack of lamb in half. I cut mine in half because I wanted to do a cool presentation, but you can keep yours whole. Once you've seasoned your lamb, you can go ahead and sear it. In an iron skillet over medium to medium-high heat, add 1 to 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. When your pan is almost smoking, add your lamb. Sear each side of your lamb for about 1 to 2 minutes. Then add about 3 to 4 tablespoons of butter, 2 sprigs of thyme, 2 sprigs of rosemary, and 2 garlic cloves. Then baste your lamb in the butter. Set your lamb to the side for a few minutes. Then, brush your rack of lamb with 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard until it is completely coated. When you're finished, roll your lamb in the breadcrumb mixture until it is completely coated. Then, cover the bones in tinfoil. This prevents the bones from charring. Place your lamb back into the skillet and then roast it at 450 degrees for 12 to 18 minutes. While roasting your lamb in the oven, check the internal temperature of your lamb after 10 to 12 minutes. This way you can see if it's cooked to your liking, so you can either take it out or let it cook longer. Lamb continues to cook even after you take it out, so you want to take out your lamb 5 to 10 degrees lower than what you'd like. Once you've cooked your lamb, you can begin plating everything up. By the way, I took out my lamb when the internal temperature was 145 degrees, and then it rose to 160 degrees after I took it out of the oven, so it was about medium well done. Also, you can check the internal temperature of your lamb by using a meat thermometer. And this is the finished result! This is what the rack of lamb looks like before I cut it. And this is what it looks like after I cut it. The rack of lamb came out beautifully. It was really well seasoned and tasted delicious. I especially liked the breadcrumb crust. The mashed potatoes and Brussels sprouts went well with it too. I got the Brussels sprout recipe from Cooking and Grilling with AB. I'll have a link to the recipe and his channel down in the description below. I'm still happy this came out so well, especially since this was my first time making lamb. Alright, that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Everything I used in this video will be down in the description below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye! Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how to make some delicious Cajun shrimp lasagna rolls. These were so good and I can't wait to show you how to make them, so let's get started with the video. Begin by preparing your ingredients. Dice 1 onion, 1 green bell pepper, 1 red bell pepper. Then peel and devein about 10 pieces of shrimp. When you're finished, set your ingredients to the side. Next, in a large bowl, add 2 cups of ricotta cheese, half a cup of Parmesan cheese, 1 egg, 2 tablespoons of parsley, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. Then mix everything together until well combined. When you're finished, set your ricotta mixture to the side. Next, in a pot full of water, add salt. Then bring the water to a boil. When the water starts boiling, add your lasagna noodles. Then cook the lasagna noodles for however long it says to on the box. While our noodles are cooking, we're going to make our sauce. Begin by seasoning your shrimp. I season my shrimp with pepper, Old Bay, garlic powder, onion powder, paprika, and Cajun seasoning. Oh, and when you're seasoning the shrimp, add a bit of olive oil. It helps the seasoning stick to the shrimp. When you finish seasoning your shrimp, set it to the side. Next, in a large pan over medium heat, add butter and olive oil. Once the butter has melted, add your shrimp. Then cook the shrimp for about 5 to 7 minutes. When the shrimp have finished cooking, take them out of the pan and set them to the side. Next, add a half a cup of diced onions and a half a cup of diced bell peppers. Sauté the onions and bell peppers for about 5 minutes. When you finish sautéing the onions and bell peppers, add 1 teaspoon of red pepper flakes and 1 tablespoon of minced garlic. Then cook everything together for about 1 to 2 minutes. Next, add a half a cup of chicken broth and 2 tablespoons of butter. Mix everything together, and once the butter has melted, add 2 cups of heavy cream. Mix in the heavy cream and then let your sauce simmer until it starts to become thick. Once the sauce starts to become thick, add a half a cup of Parmesan cheese, a half a teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder, 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/4 teaspoon of Creole seasoning, a half a teaspoon of Cajun seasoning, and about 1 to 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. Mix everything together until well combined and then set your sauce to the side. Now you've finished making your Cajun sauce, chop up the shrimp you cooked before. Place your shrimp in a bowl and then mix together half a cup of your Cajun sauce with the shrimp. Once everything is mixed together, you can begin assembling your lasagna rolls. First, lay out a lasagna noodle. Then spread a layer of ricotta cheese. After adding the ricotta cheese, add a layer of shrimp. Then roll up your lasagna. When you're finished, set your lasagna roll to the side and then repeat this process until you've made about 6 to 9 lasagna rolls. Next, grease a baking dish. Then add some of your Cajun sauce to the bottom of the dish. Make sure to spread the sauce out evenly. Then add your lasagna rolls. When you finish adding your lasagna rolls, pour the rest of the Cajun sauce on top. Next, add a layer of Parmesan and mozzarella cheese. When you're finished adding the cheese, place your lasagna rolls in the oven at 375 degrees for 30 to 35 minutes. Then broil the top for about 3 minutes or until it has browned. After baking the lasagna rolls, let them rest for about 10 minutes and then enjoy. And this was the finished result. These lasagna rolls were delicious. They were creamy, cheesy, and tasted really good. They're pretty easy to make and they're great for dinner. They're also pretty filling. Alright, that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Everything I used in this video will be down in the description below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye! Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how to make this herb crusted baked salmon with Tuscan pasta. This was absolutely delicious and I can't wait to show you guys how to make it, so let's get started with the video. We're going to begin by making the breadcrumb mixture that goes on top of the salmon. First, process pieces of stale bread in a food processor. The bread I'm using is brioche bread, but you can use whatever type of bread you want. When you have finished making the breadcrumbs, you can begin making the breadcrumb mixture. In a bowl, add a half a cup of breadcrumbs, a quarter cup of grated Parmesan cheese, 1 tablespoon of rosemary, 1 tablespoon of parsley, 1 tablespoon of minced garlic, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, and 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Once you've added all of your ingredients, mix everything together until well combined. When you have finished making your breadcrumb mixture, set it to the side. Next, we're going to prepare our salmon. Place 1 salmon fillet on a cutting board. Then, coat the salmon in a bit of olive oil. Next, season the salmon fillet with your preferred seasonings. I'm seasoning my salmon with pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, Old Bay, and paprika. Make sure to season your salmon on all sides. When you finish seasoning your salmon, brush a layer of Dijon mustard on top. Then add a layer of breadcrumbs. Repeat this process with your second salmon fillet. When you have finished preparing both your salmon fillets, place them on a baking sheet. Next, bake the salmon in the oven at 400 degrees for 13 to 17 minutes. While the salmon is baking in the oven, we're going to make our Tuscan pasta. In a pot filled with water, add salt. Bring the water to a boil and then add your pasta noodles. Cook the noodles for however long it says to on the package. While the noodles are cooking, we're going to start on the sauce. In a large pan over medium heat, add olive oil. Then add a half a cup of diced onions. Sauté the onions for about 3 to 5 minutes or until translucent. Once you finish sautéing your onions, add 1 tablespoon of minced garlic. Sauté the garlic with the onions for about 1 to 2 minutes. Then add a half a cup of sun-dried tomatoes. Cook the sun-dried tomatoes for about 5 minutes. Next, add a half a cup of chicken broth and 2 cups of heavy cream. Mix everything together and then bring your sauce to a simmer. Let your sauce simmer for about 3 to 5 minutes or until it starts to become thick. Once your sauce starts to become thick, add 2 to 3 cups of spinach and let it cook down in the sauce. Once the spinach starts to wilt, add a half a cup of Parmesan cheese. Next, add a half a teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder, 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of red pepper flakes, 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning, and 1 tablespoon of parsley. Mix everything together until well combined and then add your pasta noodles. After mixing in your pasta noodles, you are all finished making your Tuscan pasta. By now your salmon should be done baking in the oven, so all that's left is to plate everything up. And this is the finished result. This whole dish was so good, especially the Tuscan pasta. The Tuscan pasta was creamy and delicious, and the salmon was flavorful and went with the pasta perfectly. Be careful who you make this for, because my mom wouldn't stop talking about this dish until I made it for her again. Alright, that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Everything I used in this video will be down in the description below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye!